All right, let's bring on tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is Sheldon. Sheldon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vic. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on and sharing your experiences with us. We appreciate it. Sheldon, please give us a brief bio on yourself.
Uh, I'm 43. I'm a naturalist, herpetologist. Those are my hobbies. I love the outdoors. I'm a family man. That's pretty much it.
Well, that sounds like a good balance to me. And by the way, you describe yourself as being a naturalist, but you told me the first time we spoke that your love of both nature and animals goes way beyond that. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, I want to know what my surroundings are. I take pride in identifying animals and the noises they make, wildlife identification. I take a lot of pride in that, but herpetology is my number one passion.
Speaking of the herpetology thing, do you remember when we spoke for the first time, the question I asked just to kind of test how much you knew about herpetology?
Yes, I do, Vic.
Please tell the listeners about that. What was the question?
Vic asked me what the largest species of cobra was.
That's right, I did. And what was the answer you gave me?
uh, Forest cobra, the forest cobra.
That's right. And like I told you in that conversation, I was blown away because I've asked so many quote unquote snake guys that question who had no idea what the true answer was. They said king cobra, but you knew
Hmm.
better. You know your stuff, and I'm impressed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sheldon, you have opinions about people who go out looking to shoot dogmen. Please share those with us.
Yes, I do. I don't think that's a very good idea. But regardless, there's men out there right now with guns on their hip looking for these creatures, whether it be Bigfoot, Sasquatch, any kind of cryptid animal. Guaranteed there's men out there that would shoot one on sight. And I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's even a good idea pointing things at them, as I'll get to later, but there's no reason to. There's just no reason to shoot any of these creatures. Unless you're threatened or your family's threatened and you got something barreling at you, no, no, leave it alone. Live and let live.
I couldn't agree with you more for more reasons than one. You've got an interesting idea for what you'd like to have put on your gravestone. Please tell us what that is.
Well, I thought about it. If I'm ever out in the field and doing whatever, hiking, and I just so happen to come across one of these creatures, and it's hungry, and he ends up eating me up, and they find out that I was eaten by a dog man or a werewolf. I would have that on my gravestone. Absolutely. Sheldon killed by a werewolf. Rest in peace.
Huh. Wow, Sheldon, I don't know. I could think of a lot of other ways to go out that would be a lot more pleasant.
Right, right.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. At all. You think dogmen are here for a purpose. What do you think that purpose is?
I don't know, to be honest with you, but there's a term in the Bible. It mentions something about releasing the beasts of the field. And I don't know where they come from. I don't know if they were made in a lab or what, but who knows? They could be waiting on a command. I hear some are dog soldiers is what I'm looking for. They call them dog soldiers. If so, if something ever went down, I'm sure they could take a bullet, and they're fast. And even if they're not here for a reason, they're out just doing their thing. They're out living and surviving just like any other animal. And as humans, we interfere with everything. We can't leave well enough alone. And I think that's going to be the downfall. And I know there's a lot of skeptics out there, and I understand that, but these creatures are real. They exist, and they're out there. And Like on the show the other night, I heard somebody say, at least we made it home to tell the story. There is a lot of people that make it home to tell that story. So obviously these dogmen aren't killing everyone they see, everything they see. I'm sure there's a couple incidences where, yeah, absolutely. Whether they felt threatened or I don't know the reason, hungry, but they're out there doing their thing. And to me, it's no different than a mountain lion. These bikers, they jump on 10 speeds and take off through these trails and Sierra Nevada mountains. I don't know what they're thinking. And they get ripped off their bike by a mountain lion. Well, I mean, animals are going to be animals. And it just seems like some people can't get that through their head to know your surroundings, know what's around you, know the animals in your area and the consequences that may come about when you're passing through their territory. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. They're not intruding on us. We are intruding on them, period. People getting attacked by these animals, whether it be a bear, a big cat, a dog man, hey, I don't see that as any different than any other predatory animal. I don't see any difference.
You raise some really good points. Yeah, dogmen just do what they do, and that's all there
Yeah.
is to it. All right, Sheldon, please tell us about your encounters now. Give us every last detail that comes to mind.
Okay. There's a hill behind my house. It's pretty steep, and I had my eye on it for years to go up, walk up there, and see if there's any, if I could find any snakes or what kind of wildlife, just explore. I just like being in the woods. So I grabbed my hook and I just so happened to buy a new gun and I put my gun on my hip. And I never take a gun in the woods. I had no reason to. And that day I put my gun on and took off. I thought maybe, well, once I get in the woods, I'll run a couple rounds through the mag, see how it runs. So I made my way up there. I got to the tracks and I started up this hill. And it was thick. It was really thick and very steep. And it took me 45 minutes to get to the top of this hill. And once I clawed my way to the top, I saw a little clearing and I pushed myself through the malta floor. And there was a really neat clearing, like a nook in the side of the hill. And that was my destination. But I was standing there and I was like, yeah, I made it. I made it here. This is really cool. Probably 20 by 20 nook in the side of this mountain, cleared of, vegetation, a little sandstone wall in front of it. Really neat looking place. And to my right, about 5 foot, I saw what looked to be a teepee structure. That's what they call them. It looked like a perfect teepee, probably 6, 8 feet. And I'm thinking to myself, who would walk up here and do something like that? Who would walk up here and build that? I knew a squirrel didn't do it. I knew a deer didn't do it, or a raccoon. Something come up here and put that together. And I had blood running off of me and everything else just getting to the top of this hill through the malta floor. I mean, it was thick, and it's just not a place where people go. But anyway, I stood up, I looked over, and I saw that teepee structure, and I was pondering over it for a second. And I said, well, I'll just move along. And I looked up towards the sandstone wall, and I took 2 steps forward, and something growled at me. Now, I knew right away that there's nothing in these Ohio woods that can growl like that. They can make a sound like that. And I've heard coyotes, bobcats, raccoons. Raccoons can make some wicked noises. Bobcat growls. Even like I said before, big turkey vultures. You walk up on a den of turkey vultures. They sound like a bunch of demons. I mean, they're hissing and it'd scare anybody. But this was a growl, and this growl reverberated through my body. It the closest I can come to the sound of this growl is a Bengal tiger, and it scared me to death. Scared me to death, and out of fear, it startled me. I unholstered my gun and I pointed it in front of me, and I took 2 or 3 steps back. I had my gun at the high ready, and I took 2 or 3 steps back and stopped, and it growled at me again. Well, this time, this growl sounded like this creature had its chin resting on my left shoulder. It was too close. It was very close. And I knew, even though my gun was out, I knew that I'm not going to have enough time to swing around and defend myself from this creature. And the growl literally turned me to jelly. My legs went to jelly. My vision started going. My gun was slipping through my hands. I wouldn't have had enough strength to pull the trigger. I accepted my fate right there. I said, it's over. It's over. It's over. If I do get a shot off, there's going to be physical contact. And I kind of just stood there, and after a couple seconds passed, I slowly turned my head around. Nothing was there. And I backed my way out of there all the way down that hill. When I got to the railroad tracks and I sat down, I had to kind of get it together. But this growl, I mean, the lung capacity, it paralyzed me. It took everything out of me. Whatever, I don't know if it was fear. That was the most terrified I've ever been in my life. I've never been that scared. I've never experienced fear like that, to where I couldn't hold myself up. I had no strength. That it almost made me sick. And you know, I got down to the bottom of the hill, sat on the tracks, tried to get it together for a minute. I come home. I told my wife and my son what just happened to me, and it was terrifying. I didn't even see anything. I didn't even see anything. I could just imagine these people running into these things. My initial thought was it was a Sasquatch, because that teepee structure was right there. I thought that there was a Sasquatch up there, and she possibly had a young one, and you know, she growled at me, and you know, like when I stopped, she growled out again. It was almost like you just keep going, and that I did. So, and I had it in my mind. I was positive that there was a Sasquatch there, especially because I see tracks. I have stuff thrown at me, weird moans and howls, and I was positive it was a Sasquatch. But that was the scariest day of my life. It really was. I can move to the next encounter. My boy and I was snake hunting in Alledonia, Ohio. Peavine Hollow. We were coming up out of this hollow, and there was a big hayfield on the left. And both of us saw this huge black mass right in the middle of this hayfield. And we pulled up, and this thing was probably 50, 60 yards away. Got a good look at it. And the first thing that come to my mind is it's a panther. It's a black panther. It was jet black and every bit of 7 feet long. And you could see its shoulder blades rising as it walked. I mean, it looked, we couldn't believe what we were seeing. Well, I shut the car off. When I shut the car off, this creature stopped in the field, turned around, and sat down and started staring back at us. We're both in awe. And, that happened for a few minutes. Then nonchalantly, it got up and made its way to the woods, and it was over with. And this was a big animal, but it looked like a panther to me. It looked like a panther to me. It was jet black, pointed ears, long tail. I'm almost positive it was a cat, but I don't know. I hear there's different species of these cryptids have different looks about them, and I'm just learning that. Now, if it would have stood up on on two legs, but it didn't. But nonetheless, there is a giant cat running around in the woods of Ohio. I'm here to tell you, my son is a witness. A predator, there's a large predator in these woods, whether it be Dogman or whatever. I'm here to tell you that there's a big cat running around Ohio. There's a big black panther running around Ohio, if that's what it was. And, you can't run around telling everybody you saw a black panther. I take pride in my wildlife identification skills. I take pride in what I know. And, my boy had to tell me, he said, Dad, you just can't run around telling people you saw a black panther. They're not going to believe you. And he's right. So I stopped telling people, that's scary. That's scary enough just to know there's a big cat running around, let alone Sasquatch and Dogman. But anyway, the next encounter, which was my sighting, well, let me back up a little bit. After the experience of this creature growling at me, I made my way back up there a dozen times by myself, taking gifts and food and apologies. I would go up there and sit and, tell them that I am truly sorry for pulling a gun on you. I'm so sorry for pulling a gun on you. Please forgive me for my human reaction to this. Please forgive me. Take them food all the time. And what's more weird is I cannot find that place where that creature growled. I've been up there 24 times. My son's been up there with me a half a dozen times. And it's so frustrating. I cannot find that place. It's almost like I stepped into a portal. It's just very weird, very weird. But anyway, I was taking food and gifts and apologies. This winter I decided to go up. I took some food. I filled my bag up with bananas and apples and candy. And I was making my way up the hill, across the tracks, made my way up the hill. And it was just after a rain. It was damp. Everything was still damp. And I walked up over the berm. And as soon as I got to the top of the berm, I saw a large dark mass. And I hurried up and looked. I looked at it because it startled me. And it knelt down. That's the only way I can describe it. It just knelt down, just sat down. It like a groundhog or a prairie dog. It sat down and it tucked its limbs and its head close to its body, and it stood rock still. And I grabbed my phone and I was talking to it. I started talking to it. I said, hi there. I'm sorry. My name's Sheldon. I'm not going to hurt you. And I'm so sorry for pulling a gun on you. Please forgive me. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to take your food up and I'm going to set it on the tree like I always do. And I was taking picture after picture of this creature. I must have took 15 or 20 pictures. As I would raise up, point my phone at it, I can see in this, the vibes I was getting from this animal was, just please stop taking pictures of me and just leave me alone, go away. Go away. That's what I was getting from this creature. When I would raise my phone, he would literally cringe. I could, I could see it literally cringe and cower. I don't know if it thought I had a gun. That's why I won't take anything in the woods and point anything at him anymore. And I advise, I know if somebody comes across one of these things, the first thing they're going to do is pull their phone out and want to take pictures. My advice, I'm sure there's going to be an incident, or probably already has been an incident, where these animals have felt threatened by people pointing something at them. They don't know if it's a gun, they don't know if it's a phone or what. And I took a bunch of pictures of this animal, and I put my phone in my pocket. I said, okay, I'm done. I'm going to take your food up and I'm going to set it on the log, and I'll leave. So that's what I did. I took the food up, I set it on the log, I made my way back down, and it was gone. So I come home, I'm telling my wife, my son, I'm showing them the pictures, and it was so exciting for me. And I was sitting here going through the pictures, and I'd blow them up. And I was blowing the pictures up, and I looked close to this animal, and it had pointed ears. This creature had pointed ears, and it looked like the best way I can describe it is a large wolverine. It looked like a large wolverine. The Dogman you have on your site, it looked exactly like that. It looked exactly like that. The jet black one with the gold eyes that's kind of hunched over, it looked exactly like that. Only it had some brown in it. It had brown. The sun hit it, I could see brown. But identical. Identical. It didn't have the long pointed ears like I was expecting the Dogman to look like. I didn't even realize, it didn't even cross my mind that it was a Dogman until one night on the show I heard they don't all look the same. They're different. So there's a lot of different kinds. And this animal looked like a wolverine. He sat down like on his haunches, and he tucked his arms and chin and head in. And he was about, I'd want to say, knelt down, he was 5 foot, probably the size of a 50-gallon drum. But he had brown, he had brown fur, black tips, black tipped fur, but as the sun hit him, you can see brown. He wasn't, jet black. And I had in my head what a Dogman was this 7-8 foot hulking beast with shoulders 4 feet wide, pointy ears. That's what I thought a Dogman looked like. And that wasn't it. That's not what I saw. I didn't see a huge muscle-bound creature with large teeth and pointed ears. That's not what I saw. If it was a Dogman, I don't even know if it was a Dogman, but this was a big creature. Now if it was 5 foot knelt down, if it would have stood up, I'm going to say around 6 or 7 feet. And it was as big as round as a 50-gallon drum. But this creature wanted nothing to do with me. Nothing. I didn't feel threatened by this animal. But I think if I would have stood there and pressed my luck, it could have ended up a little different. Maybe I left just in time because it was scared of me. It was scared of me. And it didn't like me standing there taking pictures of it. It would just cringe and cower. And like, please leave. Please get away from me. Get away from me. You can't see me either. I'm camouflaged. I'm a tree stump. It just didn't want anything to do with me. Nothing. So I went about my way. I got a lot of pictures, but I lost my phone. I had to get this new one. I had to run down to the dollar store and grab a phone just so I had one. And I've been pouring through these Google images. I had my wife get me back onto Google Images because I wanted to send you some pictures. And I haven't found them yet. haven't found them. There's thousands of pictures on there, and I just haven't been able to find them yet. But yeah, that's that encounter there. That's pretty much all that happened.
I'm a little unclear on this. How sure are you or aren't you that the creature that growled at you that one day was a Sasquatch?
I am unsure. I am unsure now because where I saw this creature, where I took a picture of the creature with pointed ears, was less than 200 yards away from that spot. But what's confusing me is the teepee structure. Do dogmen build teepee structures? I wouldn't imagine, but who knows?
Yeah, there are so many things that they do and don't do that all we can do is guess at. Did the creature you took those pictures of that day give you the impression it was a juvenile?
Yes, it did. You can say that. Yeah.
Yeah, when you describe its size, it sure sounds like it must have been. And if it wasn't a dogman, I can't really think what it might have been, so that does kind of narrow it down, the fact it had those pointed ears. Do you consider that encounter to be a positive one, looking back on it?
Yeah, I don't have any, I mean, it was, I don't have any ill feelings towards it. I don't know how it feels. I don't, it was a positive encounter for me in ways. I didn't feel any kind of bad feelings or anything. It was exciting for me. And I know it wasn't exciting for the creature. I do know that. It wasn't a positive encounter for him. I can guarantee you that. But for me, yes, it was. I was pretty exhilarated.
Yeah, sounds like it must have been. Did you know about Dogman before you had those experiences, or did you find out about them afterwards?
Afterwards, I wouldn't have given Dogman a second thought. I knew Sasquatch existed. Dogman, even after seeing the pictures, his ears and everything, it still didn't register. It took so long for this to register that's what I was looking at. But like I said, in my mind, it doesn't match the creature I had in my mind of a dogman.
Yeah, well, they come in a lot of different packages, so no, that's no surprise. After you had that last experience, has anything happened around your property that gives you the impression that maybe might have followed you home?
Yes. I think they could be curious. My dogs act up once in a while. The hair stands up on their back. But yes, I have a bunch of coyotes across the hill, same hill. There's a big pack of coyotes. And I was having an interaction with a Sasquatch one night. It was making noises back and forth, and I heard a tree crack. I heard a limb snap, pop, and I ran in the house. I grabbed my son. Dusty, come on, let's go. They're out here. They're out here. Let's go. I drug him out in the yard, and I said, hey guys, it's just me. We're your family. We're not here to hurt you. We love you. We're not here to hurt you. It's okay. I have my son with me. His name's Dusty. And as soon as I said that, I want to say a moan or a howl. It wasn't a coyote. I know how coyotes sound. They do make all kind of weird noises. But this wasn't a coyote, and it was a single animal. Usually when a coyote goes off, there's going to be more following that. And this one did not. It basically, after I was done talking and introduced my son, it moaned like a moan howl. It sounded more like a wolf, actually. And I grabbed my son by the arm. I was like, did you hear it? Did you hear it? Isn't that crazy? And he's like, oh my God, Dad. And we went back in the house. He went in and told his mom. I said, I told you, Dawn, they're out there. I said, one just moaned at us, howled at us. And I know it wasn't a coyote. Whether or not it was a Bigfoot or a dogman, I don't know either. But I was interacting with something. I just don't know what.
Yeah, it does make you wonder what that was. You just mentioned the Sasquatch around your home. How long have they been around?
Well, I want to say at least 3 years I've noticed a lot of rock throwing, odd noises. I think they case the house. Sometimes I think they walk around to investigate. Just a couple years. Footprints. I got pictures of footprints. I'm positive they're Sasquatch. But the creature I took a picture of was not a Sasquatch.
Yeah, it sounds like it. This is really strange. From what I understand, your son found something very interesting last summer. What's the story behind that?
Well, we heard about these Uper lights they're finding on the Great Lakes. When you hit them with the black light, they glow. They glow orange. And they say they're only on the Great Lakes. And I thought to myself, we're only 3 miles from the Ohio River. I thought to myself, I said, Dusty, if they're there, if these Uper rocks are in the Great Lakes, then they're in the Ohio River. I said, we need to get a black light and we need to go look. Well, we went down, and sure enough, we found Uper lights on the Ohio River. And he picked up a rock and hit it with a light, and it didn't glow, but it was odd looking. He said, Dad, look at this. And I looked at it, and it was odd. It was weird looking. It was a weird looking rock. It's about 2 inches by 2 inches. And we brought it home. And I put it away. It was laying somewhere for the longest time. And I said, hey, Dusty, where's that rock you brought home from the river? And he said, right here. And he brought it in, he gave it to me, brought it in, handed it to me, and I examined it. This rock has 2 orbits, a jawbone, a bottom jaw, 2 orbits, nasal cavity, the occipital, hole underneath the skull, if that's how you pronounce it, all its teeth. And from the top of it, the top of the head, where it looked like it was stepped on, it looks like there's still blood residue. Now, I'm 98% sure that this is, I know it's a skull. It's a skull. And it's a humanoid skull. It's a 2-inch by 2-inch humanoid skull. And, I mean, you could see all its teeth. You could see the sinus cavities in the eyes. And when you look in the eye cavities, you can see the eye sockets. You could see I mean, there's too much overwhelming evidence that it's not just a rock. I mean, it's got everything. It's a skull. It's a 2-inch humanoid skull. I'd put anything on it.
Wow, that's pretty freaky. What did the teeth look like?
Yeah, the teeth look like ours, except it has canine teeth. Like this creature ate insects. It has sharp teeth. It has sharp teeth. Yes.
So you're saying that every tooth is sharp?
No. It has the same tooth structure as like a weasel or any kind of carnivore. The incisors on the top, the incisors on the bottom, and the teeth in between. The teeth in between the incisors are identical to ours.
If that's the case, how sure are you or aren't you that it's a monkey skull?
It could be a monkey skull, but it's fossilized and it was in the Ohio River. I want to take it and get it tested. I really do. I want to get it tested. There's still blood residue on it. I want somebody to look at it with credentials. You know, you can't, and maybe an archaeologist or someone, but my attention to detail, you know, I take pride in it, you know, when it comes to wildlife, anything. And I'm almost 100% positive it's a humanoid skull. It could have been a monkey skull. It could very well be, but it's humanoid. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, might be a monkey skull, might not. If it's not,
Yeah.
makes you wonder what it really is. Wow, that's something. Well, Sheldon, it's about time for us to get out of here, but before we do you have any closing comments you'd like to share?
Yes, I do. I was a skeptic to the Dogmen, but they're out there. And my advice is just leave them alone. go your way and let them go theirs. And just appreciate them. We don't have to interfere with everything. We don't have to interfere with everything. And like the saying I mentioned to you the other night, all that I have seen teaches me to trust the Creator for all I have not. I really like that quote. But let these creatures be. Let them be. Go your way, let them go theirs. Respect them just like you respect anything else. And don't push your luck with them.
That's all very good advice. Very well said. Sheldon, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing those experiences with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Vic. My pleasure.
You know you're welcome. Thanks again so much. Have a great night.